Hola, soy Hernán y el día de hoy tenemos un video muy especial. Bueno, en realidad no es especial, pero sí interesante. Se llama 10 maneras en que el mundo cambiará después de Covid-19. Si tuviese que arrojar una predicción, sería algo relacionado al uso de lentes. Me parece que mucha más gente va a estar utilizando lentes o va a tener problemas de vista a mediano y largo plazo. Va a ser horrible, pero bueno, espero que lo disfruten. Sin más distracciones, comencemos. Ok, se ve dramático.
10 ways the world will change after COVID. Number 10. Interaction. Interacting with others is probably the first thing the pandemic has changed. In just a few months, the simple act of meeting and engaging with people drastically changed. What's even more alarming than that is the fact that now, after a year, we're used to it. In fact, some think the way will...
Eso es un gran punto. Estamos tan acostumbrados ahora, después de un año, que la inercia nos va a decir que no salgamos. Aún así me imagino que en un año después de que acabe todo esto, vamos a estar bien.
Others may have changed forever from now on. One of the best qualities of human beings is their quick adaptability to life-changing challenges. If you think about the experience of your past year, you'll find that's the case. Losing the ability to make physical contact with other humans wasn't easy, and it still isn't, but you did manage to do it. It's this universal capacity for change that led many experts, like psychology professor Robin Dunbar, to believe that once this nightmare is over, it won't be as easy to get back to where we left off. In fact, according to Dunbar, the psychological impact social distancing regulations might have had on our brains is so strong that in a post-vaccine world we might feel...
Ok, entonces acaban de contradecir lo que dije. Tal vez no va a ser tan fácil regresar a como era antes, pero tengo fe.
Actual discomfort doing social activities. Number 9. Grocery shopping. In the past year, grocery shopping has already changed. Sure, some of us knew that online grocery shopping was an option and had even used it maybe a couple of times, but online services like this really kicked off with the advent of Covid-19. However, when the pandemic forced us all into our houses, the online shopping industry boomed. It was the fastest and safest way to avoid long lines of strangers and crazy shoppers fighting over toilet paper. Unfortunately, everyone soon realized the convenience of online shopping, and for a while, it became almost impossible to find delivery.
Eso es cierto, creo que muchos negocios se van a ver afectados por esto, pues ahora va a haber una mayor inclinación hacia las cosas en línea, como los restaurantes fantasma. Entonces eso puede perjudicar a muchos restaurantes normales, regulares. Y no sé si es algo bueno o malo, porque creo que los restaurantes regulares físicos van a tener que adaptarse al mundo tecnológico y no sé, puede salir bien todo, no lo sé.
Delivery slots. But now that people have calmed down and the stores incremented their delivery services, the majority of shoppers now seem to prefer online shopping. Just consider that according to Forbes, about a year ago, 81% of consumers had never bought groceries online. Today, 79% of shoppers prefer to order online instead. And even after COVID, it seems pretty clear now the world of grocery shopping will never be the same. Number 8.
¿Quién sabe si para bien o para mal?
Traveling. Remember what that feels
like?
Personally, I don't, but maybe you're one of those people who experimented with travelling during the pandemic. If so, you will surely know that after a short period of total shutdown worldwide, airports soon reopened and adapted their services to these challenging times. Before I get any further into this, regulations and procedures may vary according to the countries, airports, even airlines. Still, there are some standard procedures applied more or less everywhere. For one, sanitizing stations.
Aún me sigue pareciendo raro después de un año ver a gente con cubrebocas. Mucha gente dice, pues ahora lo raro es ver gente sin cubrebocas. Sí, pero no sé, se me hace raro, es muy surreal. Pero bueno, sigamos, ni siquiera tiene que ver lo que estoy diciendo con lo que estamos viendo justo ahora, pero quería comentarlo.
Social distancing floor stickers and nasal swabs are now basic routines. This doesn't mean we'll have to take nasal swabs every time we travel in the future, I hope not. But like for many other fields, the travel industry has learned and improved on a lot of factors here. As reported by NBC News, industry experts believe some of the current protocols may outlast the pandemic. This is especially relevant to technologies developed and improved during the past year, like sanitizing robots, restrooms that automatically alerts maintenance crews when cleaning is needed, and contactless check-in. Number 7. the fashion industry.
Fashion industry,
With the
okay.
outbreak of the pandemic, production ceased, fashion retailers closed, and demand has plummeted.
Estoy muy interesado sobre saber cómo fue afectada la industria del fashion. La verdad es que no lo sé, entonces parece que estoy a punto de aprender algo. Bien.
Not to mention the partial or in some cases total cancellation of fashion shows. It's been a tough time for the fashion industry. However, after this seemingly catastrophic effect, the pandemic also gave the world of fashion a chance to rethink and rearrange themselves to meet contemporary and more ethical standards. As a matter of fact, we could say an ethical revolution has finally taken place in the peaks of the industry. In May of 2020, Gucci announced that they would abandon the worn-out ritual of seasonality with their shows and will focus their efforts in trying to reduce the environmental impact of the industry. But they're not the only ones. As Vogue editor Anna Wintour...
Esas son increíbles noticias. Sí, no debía haber pausado el video, pero bueno.
Pointed out, by the end of the pandemic, the values of fashion will have shifted permanently to a more ethical and sustainable system. Let's
Eso es muy bueno, muy positivo.
Fashion revolution does, that these changes will also bring awareness and
eso me gusta.
directly to the people who make our clothes.
Espero que sea de verdad y no solo estén diciendo.
In a similar way to how traditional fashion
Vamos a
shows
ser más
have instead
éticos
migrated
y no
to
lo sean
online,
realmente.
we'll have to
Que suele
wait and
pasar.
see. Number 6. Masks. Before Covid-19, very few in Western countries ever considered wearing a mask on a daily basis. But these days, it's considered very important in public settings to wear one. But scientists and sociologists are suggesting people will keep wearing them even once the pandemic ends. In support of this theory, experts such as Emeritus Professor
Lo
William
dudo
Shell
mucho.
from the Harvard T.H.
Es
Chan
muy
School of Public
inconveniente.
Health point to the events that followed the SARS outbreak in 2003. The epidemic spread across East Asia, and before then, the citizens of that part of the world didn't really wear face masks. Afterwards, however, masks
Usen
would be
sus
seen
face
in
masks.
public very frequently. In the same way, doctors and public
Usen sus face masks, no dejen de usarlas, solo por si es que hay una persona que me está viendo que piensa que no tiene sentido, úsala y ya, por favor.
Public health experts like Dr. Tom Frieden, the president of global health initiative Resolve to Save Lives, believe the rest of the world could observe a fundamental shift to new hygiene practices. For example, people will be more inclined to wash their hands and wear masks whenever they
Eso
don't
es
feel
bastante
well,
bueno.
stopping the spread of
Antes
more
la gente no se
traditional
lavaba
colds
sus
and
manos,
flu.
no sé si
Number
recuerden.
5. AI will take over. When we talk about long-lasting improvements developed because of the
Eso iba a pasar con o sin COVID.
developed because of the pandemic, the artificial intelligence sector has reached thousands of innovations in this sense. To properly respond to the COVID emergency and lockdown measures, governments worldwide have mobilized machine learning in many ways. From contact tracing apps to telemedicine,
Es verdad,
we'll
es
get there
verdad.
soon, to remote learning capabilities, there were many technological innovations.
No sé si este punto es... No, claro que es válido, o sea, sí definitivamente los gobiernos como que se pusieron a hacer más cosas respecto al AI, pero creo que es algo que inevitablemente iba a pasar con o sin COVID. Tal vez sí le dio un boost de digamos un 15-18%, no sé de qué estoy hablando, no sé nada de porcentajes, pero creo que hubiera pasado de todos modos, no lo sé, continuemos viendo, no tienen por qué escucharme tanto tiempo.
That were rapidly developed. We've also already mentioned how automatization devices have proved vital in other fields like travel and grocery shopping. But the growth of AI won't stop there. Paired with robotics, it can create autonomous systems capable of interacting with the physical world. This allows us to predict the spread of the virus, monitor infection rates, conduct contact tracing, and so on. According to the Centre for Strategic and International Studies, the pandemic has accelerated the overall pace of innovation in the AI field to the point that by 2030, AI could comprise $15.7 trillion of the world economy. Number 4. Cash-free. One of the more direct consequences of the growth of AI is the abandonment.
Esto creo que es algo bueno, sin embargo a mí no me gusta. Creo que tener cuentas donde depositas tu dinero es conveniente, pero no hay nada como tener efectivo y simplemente dame mi cambio y listo. Sin tener que pasar una tarjeta, buscar tarjeta, crear una tarjeta o crearte una cuenta de PayPal y que te la hackeen. Pero creo que es algo positivo. Sobre todo porque el dinero de por sí está increíblemente sucio. Han habido ocasiones en las que yo he lavado dinero físicamente, no, por supuesto no de la manera ilegal.
Of cash. In fact, part of AI development also involve a full automation of online banking and fast payments. Does this mean that COVID's not directly related to it? Not really. It makes sense that COVID is directly related to this acceleration. You see, cash is one of the dirtiest things in the world. Not only figuratively, but literally. Coins and banknotes pass from hand to hand, carrying germs within each exchange. So, when the pandemic kicked off, one of the first things to go was cash. As reported by the Financial Times, since the beginning of the pandemic, ATM transaction volumes fell significantly across the world. In the UK, for example, transactions dropped 62%, and in Spain, cash reached a 90% drop. As stated previously, COVID alone is not responsible for the digital payment shift, but it has very much made the process quicker. According to the World Economic Forum, this could lead to 50% of goods consumption primarily being done online by 2030. Number 3. Remote working. In the past year, companies have realised that most office work could be easily done remotely. In most cases, all you need is a laptop and semi-decent Wi-Fi connection. So why limit remote working to the current crisis when you could save money?
La verdad es que esto es muy malo para los empleados y puede conducir a faltas de respeto en los horarios de trabajo por parte de los jefes a los trabajadores. Entonces, esto espero que no pase, pero si pasa, que Dios nos proteja.
The office rent, while the employees who work for you do the same job at home permanently. In fact, if we put the whole COVID situation aside, most employers and employees have benefited from working at home. One of the first perks is of course the flexibility of it, but workers have also noticed an increase in productivity, a healthier work-life balance and general improved job satisfaction.
Eso es muy interesante, es totalmente contrario a lo que creí que era. No sé si esto sea real. Yo diría que trabajar desde casa conduce a ser menos saludable, pero quién sabe. Al menos sé que estar en la escuela de manera remota sí es peor. Pero bueno.
Of course, one may argue that there's not really much to do right now anyway, so working at home actually helps pass the time. Still, the data
No
looks
creo que alguien
convincing
diga
enough
eso
to
en su
hypothesize
sano
that in the
juicio.
immediate future we will see a switch to a more flexible work schedule. In fact, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, more than 35% of employers believe that 40% of their current remote workers will permanently work from home. Number 2. The film industry. If you're up to date with our channel, you'll probably know this already, so I'll try to be brief. Still, we couldn't leave this aside, that one of the biggest industries in the world is facing a crisis. There's no need to say that movie theatres are not doing well at the moment. Streaming services, on the other hand, are booming. This has led many film studios, like Warner Brothers Pictures and Disney, to release their projects on streaming platforms in lieu of in theatres. From an audience point of view, that's great. Not only because, again, during the pandemic we can't leave our houses, but because watching it...
Esto es un poco como las plataformas de streaming de música. Iba a decir música, pero bueno, de música. Es muy conveniente para el usuario, pero increíblemente, bueno, no increíblemente, no, de hecho sí, increíblemente dañino para los creadores, porque reciben una miseria de revenue. Ahora le está pasando a la industria del cine, veremos qué pasa.
A new release on your TV can actually be cheaper. From a studio point of view, streaming releases can easily avoid all the long negotiations with theatre chains. For cinema lovers though, this could mark the end of the movie experience as we know it for good. They are in fact worried that streaming releases will become the new normal, stopping theatres from reopening ever again. Number 1. Healthcare. The pandemic has challenged some of the world's brightest scientific minds, and obviously governments are pushing for a quick recovery for the sake of economies. These two facts put together coincided with the general stronger focus on the healthcare system. As mentioned before, the enormous growth of AI and the technological side of healthcare brought up significant advancements to the sector. Telehealth, for example, has played a big role in the fight against COVID. It helped to mitigate the risk of spreading the virus by reducing unnecessary hospital visits. This gives telehealth high chances to last even after the emergency. In fact, a report by McKinsey stresses that most patients now prefer virtual office visits. But apart from that, there's been a general acceleration of policies, changes to health promotion, and more support for vulnerable people in communities in Europe. Particular attention has been given to mental health services too, with specific apps and video call sessions for those struggling.
Okay.
So those are 10 ways the world will change after COVID. Which one are you looking?
Bueno, eso fue todo. Espero que les haya gustado el video. Y suscríbanse, por favor. Ahí apoyarían mucho el canal si lo hacen. Y me harían muy feliz, definitivamente. Suscribirse es gratis y irreversible. Si algún día te cansas de mis videos, puedes simplemente picarle en unsubscribe y no hay mayor problema. Entonces, considéralo por favor. Gracias por ver. Adiós.